Okay, we are live.
Can we call our meeting to order by doing the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for attending. Let me announce that due to circumstances that we have several of our members out, we only have 3 here tonight out of a committee of 7, so we cannot vote on our minutes, though we will take note of any changes and have reports. But beyond that, that's what the meeting's going to be tonight. So I didn't know if anybody wanted to even comment on the minutes, or do you want to make a motion to delay those for review at the next
I'll
meeting?
make a motion that we delay them to the next meeting when we have a quorum.
Don't even need one?
You can't vote on that either.
Can't vote on
Can't even
that.
vote on that, okay.
There's no voting for voting.
I will make an executive decision, and we will defer the minutes and the voting till the next meeting.
Excellent.
In which case, just to let everyone know, those of us who are here have just finished a partial tour, a tour of the elementary school, and about a half tour, would you say, Chris, of the high school?
2/3.
And things are progressing greatly. So with that, let me turn the meeting over to asking Greg to carry us through. And Meredith, any comments you have during the process on the update?
Sure, you enjoyed the recital.
Thank you.
Already halfway through the meeting.
We're wondering why we couldn't get parking.
Yeah.
As you know, April was a very busy month, not only just at the project, coordinational-wise, and of course we had our April vacation shutdown for the schools, a break. So quite a bit got done during that period of time. A lot of asbestos abatement occurred at the high school. So if you happen to be in the high school now, you'll notice our cafeteria and some of our other hallways are all been abated of asbestos and cleaned, so it's just bare concrete at this point. Excuse me. That's been done. Room 106 is also another one that had been completed during that period of time. One of the major undertakings, which was actually done outside of the construction project, was the sewer project at the elementary school. I think everybody's been aware of that. That project did take place. We were able to get it installed. In the time that we had, we did run into some interesting things. There is ledge inside the building that took 3 additional days to actually remove. But that actually happened, and the sewer line has been disconnected and the new line has been run, and so the school is running for the most part on the new line. But it did slow us down quite a bit. I kind of put an interesting, call it factoid if you want to. In the month of April, we had 19 days of rain, which certainly impacted our construction contractor, Ekman, for some of their work. We were hoping to get some of the paving done. That kind of got delayed because of rain. We were not able to put our sidewalks in at our elementary school, primarily due to the ledge problem that we dealt with, and inclement weather did not help with that. A lot of interior finishes are continuing to be completed. Flooring installation, painting, ceilings, lighting are all been completed in a lot of areas at the schools. We are looking and have not changed from the elementary school completion, or substantial completion will be at the end of this summer for the students to come back at the elementary school. The high school will have some shifting of areas. Some of the new additions will be opened up. So the students will be coming into brand new classrooms as we go into that. The center area is, lack of better description, is some of the impact areas that we'll be working on during this next school year, or the start of the school year. We'll have some areas turned over in November. We did discuss that. It was talked about at our last meeting. So for instance, our new cafetorium is a target turnover in November. So those things are all coming together. Paving this week happened at both schools, so you'll notice that, which shows some nice improvement out there moving forward. So we're right on the target that we planned.
I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I've got a comment. During our walkthrough, we were looking at an area of the pavement. We're talking about pavement that out by the dust collector out back, and there seems to be some concern over the whether or not that should be paved or should be an island. And since we're probably right at the time when curbing will be coming right along, since we have base coat in there now, it's probably something that wants to be resolved. I don't know, can we get an update on that?
Yes, I believe that can be, am I correct, Meredith, with that? That can be, we can discuss that, well, we don't have a
You can
quorum, so.
discuss anything, you can't take a vote on it.
Okay. So our Public Works Director, Fire Chief had come over this week to take a look at the property. And he had some areas that he had concerns about that he would like to have addressed. One of those areas was a turning radius that where granite's being installed that allows for access to the rec department through the back gate behind the high school. He was concerned that the fire truck would not be able to maneuver the 15-foot radius and wanted it increased to a larger radius, or in this case, 30-foot radius. There is an island that has sloped granite that is to be installed by the dust collector at the high school. The reason that island was designed by our civil engineers is because there's a substantial grade change through that area, 20% grade change, which is approximately 2 to 2.5 feet over about a 5 or 6 foot span. So they designed it with a island there. His concern was turning in that area, as well as that he felt that it was unnecessary to have. There's another island that is by the loading dock, same side, that has a 5% grade change. Again, the design engineer put that in there to pick up that grades from each side. His concern was, as he brings the fire truck in, their hookup for the fire truck, the water hookup, is in the loading dock area. So he's concerned that he would have to drive over or around that curved area should he have to have a fire and should there be a fire, which we hope never happens, at the high school. He was concerned about that. And so, and then the other item is that we have 2 islands that are down by the lower parking lot, brand new islands, and those are slated for loam and seed, and he would like those to be concrete instead of loam and seed. And I understand where he's coming from with that, because it's going to be hard to keep loam and seed and grass growing in that area successfully. So that was also a request, and
Are these in writing, by the way, so you have some documentation in that?
They were brought up in a meeting today and reviewed again today. I put them in writing to our engineer when he first brought it to me last week, Ty and Bond. Ty and Bond responded today to those requests for information, and I have those results. And so, and I'll bring it back up. I just had it here so I can properly read what Ty and Bond's response is. I apologize, I had it open and I accidentally closed it. And this is from Brad Skeeta from of Ty and Bond. So the first concern again was the island. There was an island by the dumpster, which is by the loading dock area. He was concerned about the fire department hookup. The response that we had for Ty and Bond is the area would have a slope of approximately 5%, the same as the loop drive. This is not preferred, but the curbing can be removed, and that's the response from our design engineers. The other one was the turning radius down going towards the rec department and out towards those fields. He says he has changed that. We do have a sketch with that, changing it from from the 15 to a 30-foot radius to accommodate it. Basically what it is if you come down that west side, which is the roadway is designed to go the other way, if he brings the fire truck in against traffic, he can't make that turn down towards that to be able to get into that. So Time Bond did do a redrawing of that to allow for that.
There's enough space without new fill or anything like that to do
Yeah, there's
that?
enough space for us to add it to, if they follow current radius. The other was, there was another concern that the trash truck or our contracted trash services could not make the turn from the, to pick up the dumpsters. We asked him to do, design engineer to do a modeling of that to make sure. We've also had our trash company deliver the dumpsters to that spot. They can fit, but he said, we have checked the turning radii into the dumpsters using an SU-30 truck. The truck makes the turn, but makes things easier if the dumpsters may be angled or concrete pad extended dumpsters were angled, and we're gonna eliminate a fence to accommodate that.
Are we already paved in that area though?
That area is already done, yes.
Got base there.
Yep. The other one was, again, that dust collector area, which was asked to be paved. And the Time Bond's request was the island was placed due to the difference in the graded area. If you remove the island, we need to pave a slope approximately 20%. You may want to remove review this with a field engineer, and he's not supportive of that change, the design engineer. And then
The design engineer is not supportive of that change?
no. And what he is at, and so I sent these responses to Ekman for information. I just had a discussion tonight before this meeting, and I'll let John, but correct me if I'm wrong, John, but the radius for the curb is not a concern. We have a sketch on that that can be handled. They are concerned about paving the two island areas because of liability and the elevation change.
Yeah, we want direction, so when they give us written direction, what they want to do, so that when we do it, if others don't like it later, they're not looking at us funny.
Yeah, my question, and I don't know how much discussion we want to have, especially if we're not going to be the deciding factor, is how is this brought to conclusion? Where's the final decision made? I assume over the next week, 2 weeks, couple of days.
Actually, a decision has to be made relatively quickly because granite is being shipped to the site. It's slated for the 12th or 13th of June. And so if there's changes, we need to make those changes this week or beginning of next
Right,
week.
and I'm just asking from a process point of view. We have a variety of opinions being gathered and questions asked, and some yeses and some nos. How do we get that done? Where's the final yes, no on?
Need an SK from the engineer, don't we?
The engineer is the engineer of record who designed the property. At the end of the day, it's his liability for design changes if there is a design issue or a safety issue. It is his designs that would be the one that would be looked at should be a liability. That's the ultimate thing. And Ekman's concern is they don't want to take on that liability unless the engineer is willing to basically give direction saying this is what we need. This is an allowable change to the facility.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, I mean, if there remains a discrepancy between what the fire chief DPW director is requesting and what our engineer is willing to do, then ultimately, we would probably call for a meeting of this committee to have this committee make a decision on how it wants to move forward. Otherwise, Greg and I aren't going to recommend that you work against the advice of your engineer because we're not willing to accept that liability on behalf of the district either. If this body wanted to make a different decision, that's part of what you're appointed to do.
Well, my only concern of time is of the essence. One is that we have a quorum sufficient until we get better educated.
Correct,
So,
but I don't think we have all of the final information between the engineer, the fire chief, and the DPW director, Ekman, yet. This all transpired really today.
okay. I don't know
All
if
was
any.
put into motion last week, but we didn't get answers.
Oh, maybe it'll get resolved.
Yeah, it may,
Hopefully.
but now that we brought it up, I'd sort of at least like the committee, I don't know what would be written up with responses or how this is.
Yeah, I mean,
going
Greg has shared what information is available thus far. I would think that, he can provide an update, and if there is dissatisfaction on the part of the chief, then he's gonna bring that to the attention of the chair and vice chair, and if we need to call an emergency meeting for later this week or sometime next week, we would do that. I would think it would be sometime within the next week that we would need to get together to make a decision.
Okay.
I'm hoping to be
Again,
able
if
to
there's a
have
need for that.
conversations, maybe as soon as tomorrow, depending on John's schedule, with John and Brian, Rudy, who's the project manager for that part of the project, to kind of get what they're looking for, and also bring in Brad from Ty and Bond to kind of clarify what his willingness or comfortable levels are signing off on these kinds of changes.
Okay, well, I'm hopeful that we can get all the parties to agree on a solution, but in any case, if you would be kind enough, maybe if you think the timing is right, by the end of the week, at least send something out to the committee that gives us a status, whether this has been resolved or whether it's an open issue.
I just brought it up because it's curbing season. It's something that can't drag on.
Yeah.
Not that it will, but I just, I knew it was a topic of conversation, and I just wanted to hear what was going on.
No, and I appreciate it, and I know personally, at this point, I don't want to make the decision to begin with, because my input on this is, but I'm hoping it'll be resolved, but just in case we need to call it in some type of meeting in the next week or two off schedule, and since we're aware of it now, if you could just shoot a note out to us in the next day or two that lets us know where we are.
I do need to talk with our design engineer, and as well as our construction managers, to make sure that I have all the information of what they feel comfortable with, and what Acton is requiring, and what Ty and Bond's willing to sign off. At the end of the day, Ty and Bond is the engineer of record for that project.
Right, and we're going to want
Or
to have
for
the
that
fire.
part of the project,
Yeah,
I should say.
we're going to certainly want to have the fire chief be comfortable with the solution as well. So hopefully everybody will find that ground. So is that okay with you, Meredith?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was recommending.
And Ekman? Okay. Super. Any other discussion on this one? I didn't know if you were finished with the first 2 pages of reports. I just
I am. All I have left is your financial report.
okay, just a quick question on the first page. There was it said high school cafe abatement, and there was a blank space when it says actual completement date. Was that just a typo? And the 420?
Because we haven't, it's not really necessary type, but we haven't finished all abatement. There's
Okay.
still a lot more abatement to go in the high school.
So we'll just leave that as not completed. And then the elementary school front windows, has that been finalized as to if they need to be replaced, where the money's coming from?
We have not finalized that yet.
Okay, so they're still open.
Correct.
Okay, super. That was the only other questions I had.
Still 9.
Okay.
The last thing I have for you is your financial report. We're actually in pretty good shape. I would say, given where we're at and some of the items that we've dealt with, the project is on schedule and moving forward. You'll see the list of change orders that we have had on this project, as well as change estimates that have been authorized. So at the outset right now, change orders that have been authorized is $466,000. The duct change, if you guys remember way back when we first started this project, $297,000, and then we have currently change estimates of $43,000 for the project, which is where we're at with that. Again, out of the original 1.381 million in our contingency, those items are out of those contingencies. We still have some areas that we will be working off of those contingencies, such as unsuitable materials and any additional asbestos that's above and beyond the contract, and so a few structural things we're still dealing with, and some combined sewer and storm drains that we found that we did not know they existed. So those are in that area.
Found at
Excuse me.
both schools, or where were the locations?
That's at the high school.
At the high school,
primarily,
okay.
yes. We're just starting tomorrow the work of the subsurface stormwater systems out in front of the elementary. We may run into some unsuitable materials out there. Tried telling to actually start digging. We do have a bit of a challenge with some traffic patterns that we're going to be dealing with over the next few days. And so the SRO, as well as Sean Pine, the principal, and myself met earlier today with the construction site supervisor. And it may be a work in progress as we go, and there's going to be some discussions about maybe hopefully opening up certain areas to allow for some changes in those flow patterns during this period.
Do we have any idea, and I recognize it may be too soon to say how much of the issues we spoke about 5 or 10 minutes ago about changing some of the outside issues, is that going to chew up a lot of more of the remaining
It
contingency?
wouldn't be high expenses for what those particular items are.
Okay.
There would be some credits for not using granite, if it's not special order granite. There'd be some ads for the paving, things like that. So, but I don't foresee it as huge dollar items.
Okay, and I know since Mike and Al and Lena and I think we're missing one more, and
Eric and
Eric.
Mark.
Aren't here, from the whatever update you send out the next day or two, if you can just sort of give the highlights of the 4 or 5 items that are there, just so
I'd be happy
everybody
to.
gets educated, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Any questions, Skip? Yeah? Gentlemen? Okay.
I was thinking, I was just thinking from a communication standpoint and a student-centered standpoint, with the changes, maybe some sort of brief thing coming out from you, Sean, saying sort of keep your eyes peeled for safety stuff for the kids if that can happen, that'd be great.
Yeah, we also sent out a communication to parents today,
Great.
traffic pattern and email, so phone call, email,
Perfect.
and phone.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other business to bring before the committee tonight?
Not business, but I'll just note that your next meeting is June 18th, and at that time, we may also be asking you to look at the possibility of an ad alternate or two. One in particular is around solutubes. Am I saying that correctly? Solar tubes. I thought the brand name is, anyway, okay. At the junior senior high school to bring some natural light into the library media space. So that's a decision that will need to probably get made at that meeting. So once we get the final price information, we'll send that out to you in advance. But at this point, you're winding up at the elementary school. That site work won't yet be complete, but it will be closer to completion. And you know kind of where you stand with the impact fees having been added in. You're still sitting on some interest funds that would require voter approval for later, but if you want to take advantage of that, it's really going to be your only opportunity to do it before the end of project. And that particular one at the end of project would not be cost effective.
So is that something we need to put on the next
That's what I'm saying.
agenda?
Put it in the agenda. Mm-hmm.
And you will be here for then, I don't know what your schedule is, will
At
that
this
be
point,
your,
I will be here. That will be it.
and that will be the last meeting?
Yep. And Susan may be here for that one as well.
As always, the only constant in life is change. We're going through that. Thank you. Let's get that on the agenda, especially, and Greg, if we can get an update at the next meeting on all the little pockets of cash we may or may not have. It sounds like we're gonna have to add those up and see if we can use some of it on some of the projects. Anything else? Ekman, we're fine? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We don't need one, we can't.
Okay, that's what I'm sure we can't
Actually,
vote on.
not really meeting.
How about we at least establish the next date unless we have an emergency meeting before then?
We had the 18th at 5 o'clock is what we scheduled last time. June 18th.
June 18th,
Last year.
5 p.m.?
Time.
Okay, and to the extent that you want to make the offer, Chris, to continue the walk around at some point, I don't know if the 18th is a good time, bad time, before or after, but I'll let you decide during the interim.
At the mercy of the group. That would be a tough week
I would say
procedurally
that's
for our
Oh,
building.
if it would be,
challenging because of the movement that's happening at that time. We're gonna be packing and physically moving a lot of stuff.
that's fine.
And that's going to have already begun that week, so I don't think it would be the best time.
Oh, great.
there is
Well,
a-
When's the last day of school in the elementary school?
Monday, the 24th of June.
24th?
Okay, so this would be best postponed. I don't know if we have a July meeting set up or whatever, but
Third Tuesday.
third
Till the
Tuesday.
project finishes.
Okay, so
5
we'll,
o'clock.
we'll potentially put the continuation of the tour on the third Tuesday so as not to cause any additional craziness at the end
If
of
it
school.
pleases folks, the first week in June, if that is a time where there's a little bit of a lull in the action, we could accommodate some of that.
Well, if you think there's a date you want to send out to the committee and everything
I can
and
do that.
say, here's an option and go through that process, I'm delighted. If not, I'm glad we asked the question and we'll put it off to July. I think we can live another month without the tour. We don't want to certainly interfere with the end of school term.
I appreciate that.
Okay?
Thank you.
We are done. If we can't vote on it, I'll make the decision.
Excavation in the elementary school parking lot. When did that happen? 25th of June?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing just fine.
So,
Hello, gentlemen.
most of the,
I've crafted an email to you about 100 times in my head. That's really helpful, isn't it?
they haven't done anything.
Well, when you-
We